Hello. Today we are here with Courtney Schultz, a senior marketing representative from CATS, and Meg Fencil, who is the program director for Sustain Charlotte. Today we're going to talk about how public transit relates to air quality. And we're going to have Meg start us off here.
Thanks, Ebony. Thanks so much for being with us today, Courtney. Could you share with us a little bit about the types of vehicles that CATS uses in their public transit system and how that helps people to get around?
Absolutely. So CATS is the biggest transit system. If Sydney, if you can go to the next slide, it's the biggest transit system between Atlanta and Washington, D.C. So we have a really expansive program and offerings. So the biggest part of our offerings is our bus system. So we have over 70 routes, including local express, regional express, neighborhood shuttles that can get you around Charlotte as well as the surrounding municipalities. We also have the Lynx Blue Line, which runs from I-45 along South Boulevard through South End into Uptown, and then extends through Uptown, through NODA, into the university area, ending at UNC Charlotte's campus. We also have the City Links Gold Line streetcar, which we're very excited for. We're almost finished with phase 2, and that will run from Johnson C. Smith University all the way down Trade Street into Uptown, crossing into Uptown, and then ending up in Plaza Midwood, right very close to Central Avenue. The last kind of service that we offer as CATS proper is the van pool program. And think about this like your usual carpool program, except that instead of using your own personal vehicles, you're using one of CATS vehicles. And so those are kind of the expansive options that we offer for you to get around Charlotte as well as the surrounding area.
That's pretty cool. I bet a lot of people didn't know that there are so many different types of CATS vehicles. What are some other ways that CATS promotes clean commuting?
Yeah, so CATS is really, what we really want is for, in our community, in the effort to decrease the number of people driving single occupancy vehicles, is we really want you to choose your commute. We want you to know that you have different options. So this can include bicycling. We have racks on the front of our buses and in our light rail vehicles for you to use. We encourage walking, carpooling, and even working from home. We really appreciate folks doing what works best for them. And if you go to our website, sharetheridenc.org, there are more options, and we'll talk a little bit more about that and how you can see how these options come into play when it comes to choosing your commute.
Great. I've used the bike racks, and they're a lot easier to use than I thought they would be. So that's a great option to combine biking or walking with public transit. How does the different types of support that CATS offer help to actually keep the air clean?
So there's a lot of different things to think about when it comes to air quality. So CATS has over 50 hybrid buses in operation. And when you think about a hybrid bus, this is going to be hybrid electric, and it runs 90% cleaner than your traditional diesel bus. It also saves fuel each year, over 3,000 gallons. But when you think about air quality, you want to think about the air pollutants. And we know that one of the biggest contributors to air pollutants is the emissions from single occupancy vehicles. And so what we're looking to do to improve our air quality is to think of ways and come up with ways to decrease those emissions. And so when you ride transit, you're taking away there's less opportunity for you to be putting emissions into the air. Air quality is often in the most congested, is most porous in the most congested areas. And so this means that residents in these areas, especially those living in close proximity to those major thoroughfares, or highways confront a much higher health risk when it's due to the poor air quality because there's more emissions in the air. And so when you think about other options besides buses, you look at rail transit vehicles. They emit little or no pollution as they are powered by electricity. The Lynx Blue, so think the Lynx Blue line. We have an overhead catenary system that we use to push that, to be able to make the light rail run. And so these light rail systems produce 62% less greenhouse gas emissions, and public transit in general just reduces the need for many separate trips by private vehicles. And when we do this in dense urban areas, we're replacing many of those separate emission producing vehicles with fewer vehicles and then they generally just emit less pollution per person. If you go to the next slide, you can see, you can kind of see a visual of how this works. So transportation itself accounts for 29% of greenhouse gas emissions in the United States. So when we move more people with fewer vehicles, so if you look at these images of on the right, you can see that that's how many, we're driving to move 40 people in their 40 personal vehicles versus versus the middle being bicyclists, and if everybody was riding their bicycle, and then what it would look like if we had one vehicle that was taking 40 people in a bus. And so by moving more people with those fewer vehicles, public transit is reducing greenhouse gas emissions. National averages demonstrate that public transit produces significantly lower greenhouse gas emissions per passenger mile than private vehicles. And then those heavy rail transit, like we talked about, not so much the light rail, but with subways and metro, they produce 76% lower greenhouse gas emissions per passenger mile than the average single occupancy vehicle. And then, like we've said, the light rail system produces 62% less, and the bus transit produces 33% less. And those facts are through the FTA. So if you need more, to see more about that. And if you wanted to see how, kind of see the numbers on the next slide, you can kind of see the savings that CATS has in the fiscal year 2019. So we have a commute tracking program last year called Way to Go Charlotte. And so that has this demonstrates the combination of the revenue miles that CATS was producing, as well as the alternative miles that we were encouraging during the fiscal year 2019. And so you can see kind of, with the facts, what that looks like with over 7 million grams of nitrogen oxide being reduced. So that's an air pollutant, as well as almost 4 million grams of volatile organic compounds that are being reduced just for the last fiscal year. So, over 15 million alternative miles being recorded. That means that those are over 15 million miles that weren't single occupancy vehicles. That means that we're seeing the real numbers and really seeing the number of miles and the number of pounds and grams of emissions that we're helping decrease.
I love to be able to actually see the impact that sustainable commuting choices have on our environment. So thanks for sharing that. Can you talk a little bit about how CATS and Sustain Charlotte have partnered to help to keep the air clean?
Yeah, absolutely. So CATS has a Clear the Air campaign that we run every single year during ozone season. It's an annual campaign to educate the public about improving air quality. So that includes all the alternative modes that we've talked about. And within that campaign, we actually, we reach out to different businesses and even community members through the Clean Commute Challenge. So that is a partnership with Sustain Charlotte, as well as the Charlotte Air Awareness. So that's Mecklenburg County Air Quality. And we create the Clean Commute Challenge, which basically we used, last year we used the Way to Go Charlotte platform to encourage alternative commuting and encouraging those to log those alternative commutes. And what that looks like, what that looked like in 2019 on the next slide is it really showed some real stats. It showed how when we come together for a month, we can really make an impact. So this was during the month of July, if I remember correctly, July or June. And this is just 1 month. So this is 1 month of really focusing on alternative miles, alternative commuting. And so we almost had 400 participants, which is fantastic. And, you know, looking at the real stats of how much really we could be saving when we work together, really is a big, you know, kind of a great thing to see when we see that, how, you know, when, you know, you might think that you by yourself as a community member, alternative commuting, you're not really making an impact. But when we all kind of take that opportunity to take responsibility for that, it really adds up. So that's what's really cool about that.
Sorry, it is really, really cool to see how people can come together to make an impact on air quality, but also to improve their health by burning those calories and saving money while they're also helping the environment and improving health for all of us. So many of us are working from home now. Is there a way that we can help CATS to measure the impact of us not being on the roads?
Absolutely. Siboney, if I don't know if you want to share a screen or have me share.
Yeah, I will give you the screen real quick.
See here. All right, share. Okay, can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Perfect. So, so what we'll talk about now is using Share the Ride NC. So we transitioned at the end of 2019 from Way to Go Charlotte to a new platform through the state of North Carolina. So through the Department of Transportation, as well as Go Triangle, we partner with them to be able to still have that commute tracking platform. And so with this, we employ different transit agencies, universities, businesses to promote ride sharing. So what's and I'll go through what this looks like. So you just go to sharetheride.nc.org. As well as there's a mobile app. It's just Share the Ride NC when you go to the Apple and Android or Google Play Store. In this, and so what I'll show you is share your screen share is paused. Let's see here. If I can you still see? Can you see my screen?
I see your presentation right now.
Let me see if I can get it to swap over to the Share the Ride NC website. Just one moment. Zoom share, new share. Okay, so if you go to sharetheride.nc.org, what this platform, so we'll kind of go through what this platform looks like. You can register, it's a free registration. You go through the different steps. It includes, test. Agree to the different sign up. Oops. This is just fake. It's obviously not real. But you'll go through the different registration process. And this is just the one part that I wanted to show about the registration process. So what's really cool is we already have many of our major employers signed up for Share the Ride NC. So you can find your college, you can find your business, and if you can't, you would just click other and it will notify us and we'll be able to add your employer to the list. So if you can, it's such a variety of different options. So you can see Sustain Charlotte. And what that does is it will link your commutes to your company or your educational institution. And what that means is so that they can so we can look at how Sustain Charlotte employees are doing and how, you know, when they're logging their telework trips, like we know, so teleworking, it's basically what that means is that you're not driving by yourself to work. You're working from home. You're not putting out emissions. So that's what's fantastic about that. And so you would just go through the different, you don't have to have your mobile number. But what we'll do is I'll show you kind of what it looks like when you do log in. Skip. Okay. It's not wanting me to do that. Sorry about that, guys. We'll log out and then we'll start it again. Perfect. So I'll show you, I'll kind of walk you through what it looks like when you are using this site once you're all registered. What some folks have communicated to us that sometimes the Share the Ride NC registration process is really long and cumbersome, but what it's doing, all the different details that it's giving, it's all private, it's all making sure, what it wants to do is show you every single commute option that is available to you. And so what it does, so you'll see your home screen, and what it will do is what you'll do in the registration process is you will create your standard trip. So I've already gone ahead and done that. And when I click search, I have lots of different options available to me. So when I click commute options, it will show me all of the different commute options available to me. So that can include, is just taking a little bit to, we'll just say that. Arrive by 12, sure. So what it would do, it shows me all the carpool drivers that are available to me. So those are other Share the Ride at NC users that also have a really similar commute to me that have opted into carpooling. So what they're saying is 45 people are carpool drivers that are going the same way that I'm going, that are going from Matthews all the way to Scaly Bark Station, and we can be carpool partners. This also includes carpool passengers. So if you're someone that wants to share your drive with someone, you have that option. It will show you different public transit routes. It will show you van pool options. This is a really specific route. So there isn't a one bus that goes all the way from Matthews to Scaly Bark Station, so that's why it's not showing that. But those are it shows you all the different options you have available, and within your preferences you can decide if you want to be visible to other riders. So what that means is you can decide if you want to be a part of a carpool. If carpool is not for you and you're just looking for other options, that's totally fine. There's also something called transit partners. So, we've all been there. We've all had our first time riding transit. I know I have. And what that looks like is, you may want a partner. You may want someone who already knows the system, who can help you out, who's a friendly face that's available to you. There's also bicycle routes and walking routes. Don't think that you'll be using walking with this one since it's almost 4 hours. But it just gives you those options and lets you know. The only other thing I wanted to show you guys is our commute calendar. So this is really where you can make the impact when it comes to CATS. So this is our commute calendar. So you're going to be selecting your different alternative mode. And you'll select your alternative mode. So since we're working from home today, we would put in telework. I would say, though, when it's asked for, it asks for my, where I would have been driving if I hadn't, where I would have driven by myself if I hadn't worked from home today. So I click save, and then I'm good to go. And then and then so what you can do also, so I know that I take the commute every day, telework trip, and click confirm. And so this becomes in my saved trips. And then that way, every time I want to trip, a telework trip, I just have to click it on my saved. I know that's a lot to take in all at once, but just that this is kind of the key point, the key thing that we would love from you all is being able to log those commute in the My Commute calendar. This data goes straight back to CAT so that we can see, one, it gives us a lot of information. So one, it gives us information about the miles being traveled and or potentially being traveled if you're teleworking, the gas savings, the greenhouse gas emissions, as well as it tells us what routing is are folks using when they are commuting to and from their home and to work. Just so that helps us know where our frequent trips are. This information can go back to our transit planners and can go back to our van pool group so that they can look at that data to be able to see where we could potentially bridge some gaps in our service. But yes, that's kind of the biggest thing that we're looking for from you guys is to log on, start your clean commute journey with sharetheridenc.org. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us at 704-336-7433. That is our customer service line. You'll be able to get in contact with me or anyone from our team who can walk you through how to use Share the Ride and see if you're looking for more information. But we really appreciate being able to share this with you guys. And we just really hope that, we know that this has been a tough time and you're teleworking and that might be new, but we want you logging those telework trips. Because you are impacting air quality in our area by not driving by yourself to your different errands or going to work. And then once we are going back to work and we are starting to look at other commuting options, we really hope that you consider using different alternative modes or at least giving it a chance. We want you to have the resources available. So that's why we have sharetheridenc.org so that you do know what's your personal choice. We want you to be able to choose that commute. So we appreciate you guys participating.
Well, thank you so much, Courtney, for walking us through Share the Ride NC. It looks very easy to log, and that helps CATS to understand how people are helping to keep the air clean. And we are so grateful to you for all of the work that CATS does and the fact that you shared that with us today. And we hope you have a very happy rest of your Air Quality Awareness Week.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for letting us share.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.